Attention! To participate in the boys basketball program here at Bonner Springs High School, you must read the following and agree to sign the contract. By signing this contract, your signature will represent your understanding of the procedures set by this program and the expectations set by the coaching staff. The purpose of this contract is to set a code of accountability for the players. We would like the players to experience and understand the importance of following a system. This type of system is not just for basketball, but to prepare them for life beyond high school.
I'm head coach Dan Stripe. We had great success with this last year, so I decided to do it again. Instead of trying to work a scheduled time when we could meet, I thought it'd be better to conduct an electronic meeting where you can sit down at your leisure and go through the contract with me, hoping that it's more convenient for you. Understand though, before your son will be allowed to participate in a regular season or tournament game, I must have confirmation that you've watched this video and that a copy of the player-parent contract is on file with me in my office. Let's get started. All players within this program will follow any and all of the school policies regarding conduct, integrity, and discipline in and out of season. We have high expectations within the Brave Nation, and we want all players to live up to those expectations the best that they can. All players are required to attend all practices, film sessions, team meetings, and games during the season. There are no exceptions unless the reason warrants the absence, such as going out of town, prior engagement. The coaching staff will use their discretion on a case-by-case basis to determine if the absence is excused or unexcused. Listed on the screen, you can see what our expectations as coaches are for our players and our managers. Note now, if you are sick or injured, you must contact the coaching staff immediately. If the staff is not contacted, it will be considered unexcused. If you are injured or sick, you are expected to be at practice, unless, of course, that sickness could be contagious and infect the other players. Understand this, if the players do not practice, they will not play. Playing time is determined in practice. If a player misses practice, it's up to them to do extra work after a normal practice to make up for the practice they missed. Then and only then will they be considered back in good standing. All players are required to be on time for practices. All players are to arrive at school 10 minutes prior to the start of practice on weekends and non-school practice days. This time will allow players to see the trainer and stretch prior to the start of practice. Arriving at the start of practice is unacceptable and will be considered as being late. Consequences for being late are as follows. And this is very important. There will not be any insubordination tolerated towards the coaching staff, teammates, faculty members, referees, or managers at any time. Consequences for being insubordinate are as follows. Now, there are times during games and practice when out of frustration a player or coach might use inappropriate language. We try our best to police such language and try to discourage any and all such language in games and practices within the boys basketball program. If the student athlete, however, or coach becomes habitual and can't seem to stop regarding the use of inappropriate language, that athlete and coach will be suspended for a game. The incidents leading up to these suspensions will cause the player to do extra conditioning. Now, this extra conditioning will be administered by one of the coaches in the program. Regarding dress code, all players are required to dress nice for home games, no exceptions. The coaching staff is not requiring players to dress in shirt and tie for the games, but we do ask that all players look nice, khaki pants, slacks, polo, etc. We want our athletes to look nice for the school and the community. Players are expected to wear the travel gear on game days only. These items are not for personal wear and should not be worn unless it's a game day and we are traveling. We're not to wear our game sneakers to and from games. We do not wear our uniform or anything pertaining to school-owned gear checked out to the players as daily wear. Again, it is worn only for games. All players will be issued team bags to carry their equipment to and from games. If a player on this year's squad forgets any part of the uniform for games, they will not play. The player is responsible to have all the equipment that was issued to him for the games. Concerning practices, the coaching staff requires you to wear the team-issued practice jersey and shorts for scrimmaging purposes. So we would surely like to make sure that we follow through with this, and if not, then they will be subjected to some extra conditioning. If there's a problem with any of your equipment, you must notify a coach immediately. That is a top responsibility of our players. All athletes who wish to be issued a locker and lock for security purposes in the District Physical Education Center team locker room, you must talk to me about that. We share this room with the high school wrestling team, and all athletes should learn to dress and undress in the locker room, securing their equipment with issued locks. Any item that is determined to be stolen from an unlocked locker is not the responsibility of the coaching staff or USD 204. Please remember to keep your locker locked. In a game, if a player receives a technical foul and it is warranted, that player will sit the rest of that quarter and possibly the next viable quarter. An example of this might be a player receives a technical in the fourth quarter of a game. They'll sit the rest of that quarter and possibly the first quarter of the next game. If the player is a normal starter, then they might not start the following game. If a player is ejected from a game, that player will miss the next game and could be suspended from the team. All these decisions, of course, will be at the discretion of the head coach, me, after all information is gathered regarding the incident and discussion with the coaching staff. Any suspensions will be discussed, of course, with the activities director, Mr. Hitchcock, before any decision is made. If a player receives a detention or a suspension during school, the following consequences will apply. All players will travel on the bus to games. There are no exceptions. While traveling on the bus, you are permitted to listen to an iPod or any other device that plays music, such as your phones, but you will have headsets and the volume will be set so only you can hear the music. All headsets and portable devices will be put away before you get off the bus. You will not be walking into any facility with a headset on your head. Players may ride home with their parents after the game or the legal guardians if those parents or legal guardians have signed the Bonner Springs High School Transportation sign-out form with one of our coaches prior to or after the basketball game. This form will usually be with one of our assistant coaches. Now, if a parent, legal guardian wishes to have their son travel home with another parent, they must have completed a parent's transportation permission form for coaches, and these forms must be submitted 24 hours prior to the basketball contest. For this to occur, you must contact the athletics director, Mr. Hitchcock, and he will inform the coaching staff. The team locker room is not a hangout for you and your friends. No one outside of the boys basketball program is permitted in the team locker room without the coaching staff's permission. Your friends are to respect the team rule and you're responsible for their actions. So let's keep them out of there and focus on basketball. Now, if a parent needs to speak with a coach regarding issues that pertain to basketball, academics, or conduct, we do encourage you to follow this procedure. First, we hope that your son will take the initial step to have any and all issues cleared up with the coaching staff. However, if this hasn't sufficed the inquiry, then we suggest that you as a parent call the athletic office. That number is 913-422-5121, extension 4012. And you can set up an appointment to meet with the coach of the team your child plays for. You are not asked to approach a coach after a game to discuss any of these issues. You are asked not to call or text a coach at home or on their cell to discuss any of these issues. You're asked not to approach a coach before any practice. Any situation or problems you may have can be better handled if an appointment is made and we can sit down and discuss your concerns. Now, do note, personal stats and playing time are things we do not discuss. This program was built on the concept of team basketball. Playing time is determined by the player's performance, their attitude, their conduct, execution, and skill level in practice. As the season moves along, there might be additions to this contract to help stimulate growth and for the good of the order. We will communicate those changes as they happen to both players and parents of the Bonner Springs boys basketball program. Okay, that wraps this meeting up. Tried to keep it under 20 minutes. I hope you understand the rules that have been set before you. I hope you understand that our kids are going to be held accountable for their actions and that basketball is a privileged activity. I hope that as parents, you'll get your kids to understand we want them to work hard, represent themselves, their family, the Bonner Springs High School, and the community as well. I hope they understand the expectations and rules set by the coaching staff in this program, and that as players, it's their job to do the right thing on and off the court. I hope that you understand that your constant hard work as players will make this program, your teammates, and yourself better in all areas related to basketball. I hope you understand that practice is to be competitive and it's not personal. I hope that you understand your playing time in basketball will be determined by your performance, your attitude, your conduct, your execution, of course, your skill level and practices. Furthermore, I hope you understand that the game of basketball is a team sport and that you will never put yourself in front of the team when participating in a game, practice, or anything relating to the boys basketball program at Bonner Springs High School. Now parents, hopefully your son watched this with you. By watching the video, I or one of my coaches have presented the information to you and that you understand the rules set forth by the Bonner Springs boys basketball program. The last thing that you need to do is to let me know that you have watched this video. Well, how do you do that? Well, I have added my email account below. Please send me a short message confirming that you have watched this, and if possible, tell me the date in which it was viewed. I thank you for your time in watching this, and I hope that we have a very competitive and productive season. Again, thank you, and don't forget to email me letting me know you have watched this video. Go Braves!